the hard yards that we had to earlier on to convert people to more flavourful beverages.
It's hot, it's sweaty, but we just got to work together and get it done.
Any woman in this industry is killing it. Yeah.
So there wasn't that differentiation, whereas here you still find there are specific craft beer bars or craft beer sections in the bottle shops.
Horrific work for what the boys done, so we thought we'd put on a big gig and, big appreciation for what they've done for their town.
Get all your processes happening and then hopefully you can get approval. You can't get pre-approval on certain things.
They don't like the ethanol, they don't like the sugars. It's a very different environment to what these wild yeast used to.
I feel like this drink just became a little bit more special. He's farewell. He'll be back.
And from then they'll shoot up, and when they're on the roll, they'll grow 6 inches a day. Not the other nocturnal crop that requires lighting.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. Absolutely.
Thank you so much. We are so stoked with number 14. Awesome stuff.
We did do really well out of it, which is, we're grateful for that. We know a lot of people have suffered, and especially hospitality.
Making an offer on another lease to open the tap room. That possibly might happen in July next year.
Yeah. Find skills where they could be used in other areas of the business to make sure people stayed employed.
His attention has been with that team.
Remember, there's still a virus out there, and be careful.
At Slipstream Brewing, it was all systems go. Ground had been broken in what was once a mechanical workshop for taxis, soon to be a jewel in Brisbane's craft beer crown.
So this is the potential new venue. Where's everything going to go? Yeah, so we're going to have a kitchen in this area here in the sand pit. New toilets up the back there. And we've got the bar over on this side, 20 taps. So we're going to open up this wall here, take that wall down, and behind that wall is the brewery and the current cellar door. So you'll be able to sit in here, you'll be able to see the brewery from most positions in here. Outside, we're going to have a new beer garden. It's going to have a capacity around 280 people, so really excited.
But there was still plenty of work to be done, and for me, the potential for this space to become a sprawling craft beer wonderland was a little hard to conceive, as breweries all across Australia continued making their way out of the clouded future caused by the pandemic.
When you first heard about lockdown, what was your initial reaction? Yeah, we were a little bit scared. We weren't, like anybody, we weren't sure what the next steps were, whether people were going to support local. We knew that we could try and sell a bit of takeaway. We knew that there'd be our bottle shop sales out there, but essentially, so it was a little bit scary. But as the next week sort of transpired, we pivoted into having a drive-through and local deliveries, and it was just great to see a lot of local support come out, and we replaced a lot of our income that we normally have through the cellar door as people were buying local, supporting us, and we were delivering home or allowing them to pick up.
Whatever COVID-19 had left up its sleeve, it looked like Deal was ready to take things in his stride and keep looking up as his brand's business foundations became more solidified.
With your home delivery, is that something that you think you'd like to sort of keep going? Yeah, we've continued that. The rate of orders that have come through have dropped off because people can get out and they don't feel that I think they want to put the burden on us to have to deliver to them. So if they can and able to come in and pick it up, they're still doing that. And if they're a little bit further, away from us, they're still ordering, and we're just getting it put on a courier and sending it to them.
The Slipstream machinery most definitely had reason to keep churning out the goods. And with a much larger layout in sight, Deal knew just how lucky he was to keep his team intact.
So generally, with the whole COVID thing, you feel, as a business, how do you feel you cope with it? Look, I think we performed extremely well in the situation. We were able to get beer out of tank, turn that into packaging. Because we were fortunate enough to have our own packaging line, we were able to to change that pack format quite quickly. So we're able to keep up with a lot of supply and just keep cartons going out to our off-premise retail channel throughout the experience. So we were quite fortunate, and we've come out the other side, relatively unscathed. I guess we've still got all our employees. We kept everybody employed through COVID.
And the only thing better than keeping his team together was adding more people to it.
Looks like you've got a new bloke in there as well. We've actually grown, yeah. We've got another brewer, and now we've got a guy for our warehouse and doing packaging. So, we're a growing business, and expanding into this venue is another channel for us to get over COVID, I guess. Yeah.
Compared to other states, Queensland had dodged the COVID bullet, and Deal was looking forward to opening a whole new set of doors to patrons, old and new.
Seems to be the general consensus that the industry hasn't taken a lot of steps backwards during this time. I think so. I think, in comparison to our Victorian counterparts, I think we've been quite lucky to keep a cap on COVID and be able to, relax those restrictions pretty early, I suppose. Not going to be a big effect on you being this far into the city, you think? We don't see a big tourist crowd here, so I think that's sort of pretty small. And we've got people, I think, that are wanting to stay local, so our local patrons are coming out and supporting us on weekends because there's no festivals and no events on yet. But that'll all change as things open up. So, looking forward to more opening up and this new venue. I'm looking forward to seeing this in full swing. This looks like it's going to be great. Absolutely.
In the midst of my COVID inquiries, I'd managed to get out west, visiting Rick and Jeff in Stanthorpe, to taste Rick's hops in their best use and meet another new member of the Darling Downs brewing fraternity.
Well, it's been around 6 months since Rick harvested his hops, and although he wasn't able to supply Mark Howes and Newstead enough for their project, local brewer Jeff Davenport has used Rick's hops again, and I can't wait to see what he's got brewed up for.
Although it was still undesirably dry, Possum Lane was beginning to spring to life again. A new crop of hops had sprouted, ready for its own burst of rapid growth. And as I expected, Rick had his sleeves rolled up and was going with the flow.
Afternoon, sir.
Are we? All right. Better do the COVID thing. Yeah. The world's changed. How you been?
Good. Yourself?
Yeah. Good. We're just getting prepared now.
Yeah.
There's a lot of new stuff here by the looks of it.
Yeah, no, we're covering the parsley and stuff because of the heat and climate change and changing a few things. We're going to get off the synthetic chemicals and go totally organic. The hops, mate, we've just started stringing them. That should be done by the end of the weekend. And they're just starting, a few of them just starting to poke through. But yeah, well, they've just been asleep since we last met, and we've just fertilised and got them ready for what will hopefully be a bumper season. Yeah.
So what exactly was on Rick's mind that kept him looking to the future?
Are you going to do anything different this year?
Oh, look, the only thing we've done is the SARS, which is a variety of hop. Didn't do too well, so we've ripped out the majority of that, and we've put in some Super Pride and some Super Alpha, which are great for IPAs. Yeah. And that was an expressed desire from Jeff at the Granite Belt Brewery. He wants to get into those this season, so we're going to trial those.
As small as they were, those new signs of life were still exciting.
Is that the beginnings of one there?
That's it. So we're up and running. You can just see them coming through there. That's what they look like. So we've just turned irrigation on, and in about, I'd say 2 weeks, they'll just be hitting the bottom here. Once they hit there, sort of get to a foot or 300 mils, and they just start to shoot, mate.
For the third year in a row, Rick had invested into hops with nowhere near the guarantee of success experienced thousands of kilometres south by Victorian and Tasmanian farmers.
More confident that you're going to get
Yeah.
The appropriate, yeah.
Oh, yeah, she's going to be great. No, it's going to be fine.
But with his trademark infectious enthusiasm, he probably could sell ice to Eskimos. A few kilometres down the road, Rick's hops had been put to use yet again at the Granite Belt Brewery by Jeff Davenport, who continued to champion the region's local produce.
I was like, what's that? She said, well, you don't even bother, you just eat through it. There's not like a black spot, or, you know, it's a little blemish on the outside of the skin. It doesn't even go under the skin.
As well as conducting some recent renovations, Jeff had employed a fresh new set of eyes and hands.
The palate, the back of the palate, all those different sort of characteristics of the hops come into play.
That's it. We've got some guests coming in.
What have you got?
And Rick had joined me to partake in the results of all his toil.
So this is with Rick's hops. So it's got the Cascade in it with dry hopper with that.
It's got your name written all over it. That's it. It's a joint effort, mate.
I'll get a grip.
Makes the Granite Belt great.
And the real strength of the Granite Belt and Possum Lane union was still being refined.
So we're working on the malt on this. I still haven't got it yet. I tried a really good India Pale Ale with malt driven in Northern Ireland. And I'm still trying to find the right blend of malt to go with it.
Making your own recipes, nothing wrong with that.
Oh,
you don't get it quite the same.
No, it's a whole craft beer thing's all about, isn't it?
Jeff's influences from pubs in the UK were about to cross paths with a whole new skill set as his new right hand took up residency in the brew house.
So you're a chef turned to a brewer.
Yep, that's right. Yeah.
How long have you been brewing for?
Oh, about 2 years now.
Former foodie Adrian was here to put a new spin on things.
So, as a chef, it was to do the contrast of beer. So the beer would contrast beer, some of the food would actually complement beer, and those sort of pairings worked really well. I think it was a good avenue where people could actually see that beer just wasn't at home having a barbecue sausage.
When it came to making the most of local produce, Adrian and Jeff were on exactly the same page.
Jeff tells me you want to take produce that would probably go to waste around here and turn it into beer.
Yeah, so what we're doing is we're sourcing out a couple of local farmers and we're getting their leftover produce, seconds, stuff that wouldn't be fit for market, and giving them a few bucks for it here or there so they've got a bit of coin, and turning it into some beers.
And it seemed like very little would be off the table.
We've just done a spiced pumpkin beer, and that was a lot like the American pumpkin pie. So that was spiced with cloves, cinnamon, nutmeg, strawberry kolsch, and also a spiced plum porter.
It seemed like beer from this small regional brewery was in high demand.
And you're still getting people through all the time?
Yeah, no, it's been great. So people coming out of COVID have been very, very thirsty, which is great.
And while I tried to decide which was my favourite, Rick was thinking about an appropriate slogan.
From paddock to pint. How's that? We should market that. Should we market that?
Well,
Paddock to pint.
I can't decide which one I like more, so...
There you go.
I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing. Win-win. There's one for the cameraman, he's driving home.
It looked like for the time being, Jeff and his new right-hand man had their work cut out for them.
Selling out of things all the time, so it's a good problem to have.
It's a good problem to have.
And it's looking like a great season for the weather as well. So you know, we might be out of it, you know, and into the good times again. So it's been terrific.
I've got my fingers crossed for you. Cheers. Cheers.
Thanks, fellas.
It seemed like a fair excuse for a celebration. Back on the Gold Coast, I was catching up with a bunch of brewers who, when it came to celebrating, didn't really need much excuse at all.
Today it's all about actually the club getting together and having some good times, you know what I mean? We've got our Oktoberfest club meeting on today. Usually we have it at the German club, but this year we thought we'd actually spread it out and have a bigger do and actually do a brew on that day. We're brewing a German beer this year, which is actually a Kolsch. We're all very excited about it, of course. Cheers.
As serious as they took their brewing, the Gold Club was all about having a smile on your face.
Hey,
It is my place. We do this every second weekend. It's awesome. Brew Club just keep rocking up and making the most exceptional beers. And over here we have my smoker and we cook the most extraordinary meals. Unbelievable.
This bunch of larrikins had proven to me yet again that homebrewing was not about doing things by halves. In fact, it was quite the opposite, with some serious effort being made getting the tastiest results.
And having some good times.
And a good time it was. Oktoberfest was bringing out all the stops, with one-of-a-kind brews from people's special stash to a spread that was bound to provide leftovers. A circumstance that one attendee in particular was surely looking forward to. At Black Hops 2 in bigger waters, there was progress to be seen. Since my previous visit in December for Tony van der Linden's Champion Brew, Govs and the team had put in yet more big tanks.
Yeah, so this year so far we've put in 4 new tanks this week. We've got about another 7 on order, hopefully on the water coming in the next few weeks. So that should basically double our production capacity before Christmas.
Now I was finally seeing the vision that the Black Hops team had for the space and wondered what it really meant to Govs and his brewing crew.
That's a huge increase in terms of our production capacity. There's a lot of considerations come along with that, ensuring that our quality standards are met. We're probably stretching as much as we'd like to this year, so we'll definitely put a cap on things and get through this summer and then take on 2021.
Automation would be the key for Black Hops to keep pumping out beer in volumes like this. But for the smaller brands, a bit of hands-on was still okay.
I know a lot of brewers started at this size, similar size to us, and they've expanded a lot. I think automation in one key makes it easier. Producing mass quantities, the labour is probably one of the most expensive parts of it. So you take that aspect out, like anything else in production. It does become a lot cheaper, but also I feel like there's a fine line between losing that closeness to a product and actually being involved in the production of it to just using an automated system. But I think automation or IT is eventually going to overcome and take over everything. So eventually we'll be pushing buttons and moving it, but for now it's quite manual, jumping down, opening valves, changing hoses over. So that's the way I like it. Hopefully it stays that way for a little while, but see how it goes.
Throughout 2020, COVID restrictions had continued to put the damper on many a celebration. But as the year drew to an end and restrictions faded, NRL Grand Final Day brought more glimpses of normality back into the Queensland suburbs. My old neighbour Mitch McConnell had recently bought a new home, and this was the perfect excuse for him and his wife Ashley to invite friends around.
Yeah, righto. So it's grand final day here. None of our teams are in it, but thought we'd throw a bit of a shindig here at my place. The band Kingsford Smith has brought a few brews around,
including Lost Palms brewer Chris Smith, who stuck to his mantra of making good beer to the T.
Yeah, so we've got the oat cream IPA on, dark berry sour, a little bit of an experimental brew.
A crowd of reasonably well-behaved footy fans showed great appreciation for the mobile kegs and what Chris had put into them.
The porter base kettle sour, then we've added some blueberries, raspberries and cherries, so real fruity with a bit of chocolate, caramel malt, and finishes nice and sweet with a bit of lactose. So it's a little bit different, but we'll give it a crack.
Smithy must have known he needed to bring his A-game, as Mitch's homebrewing buddy Richie, also a chef, had come equipped with his meat smoker.
I'm just drinking an Old Faithful, the Guava Sour. Just a nice mid-strength to keep me levelled out through the day, but it's always a good one, always a winner.
While the host was thinking about the long game.
This one then. Oi, retake! Retake!
The Gold Coast's craft beer event of the year had been postponed for over 6 weeks beyond its usual preferred date in September. When Festival Day finally came, craft beer fans were in no mood to try and contain their excitement. Due to work commitments, I was unable to attend, but my right-hand man and camera operator Daniel Simmons was there, doing his best to keep up with the action. Unlike the previous year, the brewers were too busy to stop and talk, and Junior had little choice but to stand back and let the day's events unfold in front of the lens. Beer yoga was yet again the centre of the day's proceedings, to which the onstage instructor in the sexy spandex, whose name I still don't know, was gathering somewhat of a fanatical following. For those who worked up an appetite, the food vendors were working overtime. And while some needed to be pointed in the right direction, there were plenty of people happy to set an example in how to let your hair down. A string of local talent made good use of the Gold Coast music stage, and for those who attended, it must have felt like lockdowns were a thing of the distant past. In which case, the burning question had to be, who was going to take out Brewers and People's Choice this year? People's Choice went to newcomers Sanctus, joined by two blokes fast on their way to becoming craft beer royalty. Pete and Luke had taken out Brewer's Choice again. 2020 had one final appointment left for me, and back in Brisbane, I was going to catch up with PhD scientist Edward Kerr. At Newstead Brewing's Doggett Street facility, Edward's collaboration with brewer Mark Howes was ready for its next phase. The brand's original inner-city brewhouse would be the location for Edward's long-awaited batch of yeast to be put to the test in a commercial-scale brew.
Anywhere from 20 litres of beer to 50, and what we can do in here is just soak the grains in water and make the brewing media before you add yeast.
It had been 12 months since I first met Edward, and his painstaking work to gather enough of the culture needed for large-scale fermentation was about to be put to its biggest test yet.
So mate, the day's finally come. We finally get to have another attempt at this brew. How long have you actually been working on the yeast now? It's been, what, 18 months? Or?
Since about April 2017, so about 3.5, almost 4 years now.
Wow, that's a lot longer than I thought. This is the third attempt?
This is the third attempt at this scale. We've done a lot more at like the 5 litres, kind of 10 litres scale with mixed results, kind of more positive results than we've had at this size. But this will be our third attempt at the kind of brewery scale.
Although this brew would not contain hops from Possum Lane, it would still be one of the most unique in the country and, if successful, would end up on tap amongst Newstead's extensive lineup.
What have you done differently this time?
So the first two times we don't think we had enough yeast. What we mean by that is the starting culture we have to inoculate in this case 600 litres. You need a certain number of cells for it to be to take off quick enough, I guess is a good way to put it. And in the previous attempts we just don't think we had enough. So this time we tried to get as many number of cells as we can by growing it at uni in a really sterile environment, which is hard to do in a brewery. There's a lot of brewing yeast around. So we've done it at uni.
But there was still some uncertainty in the mix. Simply producing the required amount of yeast had been a long and drawn-out process. However, getting it to do the right thing by the rest of the ingredients was where the real challenge lay. But Edward had a few tricks up his sleeve.
Then we're also adding more simple sugars and glucose to the ferment, which wild yeast and this yeast we feel it quite likes. And then we're going to try to ferment also at a slightly higher temperature than conventional brewing yeast, so about 25 degrees is kind of the goal. And with those three things together, we hope we'll get a more successful ferment.
Even on the second time round, this brew would still be very much touch and go. But I figured by now, Mark and Edward may well have learned from their prior attempt.
Have you got any idea why it didn't work the first time?
So we think it might just be an issue with not enough yeast. So you need a certain number of cells based on the volume you're putting it into. So that's probably the biggest issue. Not favourable conditions in the form of not enough sugars that it likes, or it's too cold or too hot. So yeah, those are the issues that we kind of think are the cause of our last couple of failed attempts.
How much more confident are you with this one?
A fair bit more confident, as confident as we can be doing this kind of thing.
Well, it's just experimental.
It's experimental, you see how it goes. You hope for the best, it might get better, it might lead to the same place.
Nothing in brewing was guaranteed, and this would not be the first batch of beer in the world that didn't work out. Sophisticated equipment and tried and tested techniques could only do so much, in which case, Edward had a contingency plan.
And if this doesn't work, have you still got room to move to get it there?
Yeah, so there's something you can do when the ferment stalls, which is where it just kind of stops fermenting, the yeast isn't doing anything. You can add more yeast to kind of kickstart it again. That can be difficult when you do it with wild yeast because we don't really have any more of it, right?
Yeah.
So I'm going to go back to the lab after this and start making up more yeast. So we have this kind of backup stock of yeast. So if it does stall and stops fermenting, we can add in more and see if we can kickstart it.
And that's something you'll do over the next week.
Yeah.
So in a week's time, if you see it's broken down, is that going to be something you've got to rush into? Because it takes you a long time to make.
So we've also, in the last couple of months, so like this year, really streamlined the upscaling process. So previously we've done it in a way that's taken us, we've gone up in slow increments in size. It's taken us a few months to get to a volume of starter culture that we can inoculate a brew at a brewery with. But now we're able to do it in about, I'd say 5 or 6 days. We can go from nothing to enough to inoculate.
Yeah, so that's a big improvement.
It's a great improvement. And hopefully with that, as well as being able to make a backup stock, if it does store, we can save the day if we need to.
Getting a beer on tap in a commercial venue was achievement enough in itself. But getting this particular beer on tap in line with the big milestone would really be one for the history books.
Mate, Mark's just told me that your beer might not be ready till about January. You reckon that's about the same time you submit your PhD? Will it be a good celebratory drink, you reckon?
Yeah, it does actually line up very well. I didn't really think about that. Having to submit early January, mid-January. So yeah, nice celebration.
Not that Edward was going to make a big fuss about it. I hope that Edward was indeed about to become part of Queensland's brewing folklore, but had to keep in mind the likelihood that it may all fall short of expectations. After all the anticipation, I never did get around to trying domestic ale, and had to settle for word of mouth about its relative success through other people in the industry. But 2021 had plenty of good stuff in store for me, and it started with a bit of a banger. As per usual, the craft beer calendar year kicked off with Hottest 100 announcements. And at Black Hops 2, there was plenty of support on hand to see how far up the ladder the brand could climb this time around. There was another big name on the Black Hops roster, kegged, canned, and ready to make its mark. And leave a mark it did, making it into the top 5 amongst some of the stiffest and tastiest competition ever. For the brand's fans, this was a win, and Black Hops GOAT had arrived. For this crowd, the remainder of the day would be dedicated to one beer in particular, and 3 mates from Burleigh had some serious celebrating to do. Govs, Dan and Eddie weren't disguising the fact that the brand's growing success was a group effort. And no one was being left out of this happy snap.
So I close my eyes and I fade away. So I close my eyes and I fade away.
But there were more announcements left to make, and credit will be given where it was due. 2020's winner and runner-up were taking a step back, and it will be Canberra's Bench Boat Brewery taking our top honours. But 4th place was more than enough permission for this crowd to let themselves get just a little carried away in the moment and make a lot of memories at the same time. Back at the southern end of the coast, I was set for my first catch up with Pete and Luke since they'd racked up another Crafted award. The usually relaxed surroundings of the Currumbin Valley were in for a change of pace. Along with the team from Craft Punks, Pete and Luke had brought in their own support crew to help them lighten the load on canning day.
Brewer's Choice 2 years in a row.
Yeah, man, you can't, I think that's, it might be people feeling sorry for us.
I think that was Pete's way of being humble.
It's just head down, bums up the whole time, working our guts out, and it's really lovely to get the accolades. They all help.
Small brands like this needed all the help they could get, and rarely did it come for free. So the recognition of yet another Crafted award was greatly appreciated for 2 blokes who, for the most part, were going it alone.
Yeah, that was awesome. Pretty unexpected to get it twice in a row, and then, for a different beer as well.
For whatever reason they'd received it, I could tell it was a welcome surprise.
Really nice. Couldn't have been happy about that.
The overwhelming majority of tasks involved with this small but beloved brand were performed by just 2 sets of hands.
Other than the fact there's a lot going on, you're excited?
I'm excited, man. I'm also reasonably tired too. Pretty hectic, but I'm doing the best I can, man. It is what it is, eh? You know? I'm not lying. I'm doing what I love.
And anything to keep your spirits up was definitely not a waste.
So it's just that I'm tired, and I'm probably not as perky as I normally am. But yeah, outside of that, you know, I'm looking forward to these all being hooked up and getting stuff and filling them. And
yeah, so we've managed to self-fund and get some extra tanks and do an upgrade to our mash lauter ton. So that's been pretty exciting.
I think Pete agreed.
Yeah, I guess so, man. Those 2 tanks have been nothing but grief for me, those 2 brights out there since the very beginning. So it's just been a pain. They're not doing what they're supposed to do right off the bat.
Nevertheless, he looked pretty good at the art of subtle persuasion.
Trying to make a few things easier for me and Pete. So we're still, you know, running everything at the brewery.
And together, he and Luke seem to have a pretty good grasp on the situation.
Yeah, so it's amazing we've done what we've done with what we had to start with. And we've just upgraded our hot and cold liquor, which is going to make things a bit easier for us too. So.
Those recent improvements seem to be mere preparation, as the duo intended on moving up in the world to a new premises in Currumbin's industrial area.
I mean, eventually the plan is we'll move the brewery down there, so you know, we'll sort of almost outgrown this site. So you know, I've always wanted to focus on some wild beers and that sort of thing, some a little barrel aged project. So hopefully we'll get to do that up here when we eventually do make a transition down to a taproom location. So that excites me a lot. So yeah, exciting time.
In the meantime, the Currumbin Valley modus operandi would remain the same. Keep this small operation viable, making and selling beer one day at a time. With a little bit of problem solving along the way, of course.
Whoa! So slippery down here. Yeah, see, you can't even trust these bloody things. This side's looking good as gold. One of those things, there's so many hoops to jump through before we get to that. We'll just concentrate on getting everything plugged in here and going. And after that, we'll work that out. But yeah, certainly the ball's in motion. But, you know, I can't put a date on that, man. There's just too much to do at this point.
It may seem a little overwhelming at times, but independence is its own reward.
One of the great things, I think, is just that we have sort of self-funded the expansion ourselves. So it's something I've wanted us to do, is to organically grow the business. So haven't got any investors or anything like that on board, but yeah, it's all the people buying our beer off the website have helped heaps.
We've got to plug it. Tank's in.
Head down, bum up, Pete also knew how to share a few words of wisdom.
Yeah, I think that's fair, but I also think it's like, you know, it's the dream. It's like, it's a guy having a go, you know, or a couple of guys having a go. They really have a passion. They're really doing it for themselves, you know. It's also that too. That really is, like, I think that resonates with a lot of people, and it's not like, it's just 2 of us. We're not a huge company. I mean, we'd love to have some staff and start, like, helping the community and things, but in reality, like, at the moment, it's just the 2 of us, and we're smashing it, and smashing ourselves, like, trying to get it done. But I think, yeah, you know, people understand that, and they want to support it too, and we're really appreciative of that.
And both he and Luke had given me the impression that when it came to more public recognition, they both felt a bit tickled pink. As 2021 reached its halfway point, it was time for me to experience public recognition of a different kind, as Slipstream's new digs drew new crowds, and for good reason. This place was screaming world class.
Yeah, so we've done a really big renovation. Really exciting one actually. So we've pretty much tripled in size, allowing lots of capacity for people to come in, sit down. We've got the big beer garden out the front now as well.
The end result for this venue was far, far beyond anything that I could have imagined as I stood here in a hard hat a few months prior. Slipstream was now officially epic, and a huge new bar had been set.
Big kitchen as well, so doing lots of food.
In-house chefs now served up the perfect complement to go with the brand's brews.
On a Friday to Sunday, anywhere from 250 mils up to 300.
It was now a beer and foodies paradise, with everything from an expansive and clean dining area to somewhere to just sit and chill.
Wednesdays and Thursdays are all calmer, more relaxed days, which is kind of nice, which you get that more in-depth personal conversation with all the locals that come through. We're really community focused.
It looked like the Slipstream crew would also be head down, bum up for the unforeseeable future, as a combination of great beer and a great venue had begun drawing people together from far and wide.
So we had people coming all the way from top north, sunshiny coast. Other people were meeting from Toowoomba, so meeting in the middle, and that was just last weekend.
The Slipstream renovation had certainly opened up a whole new level of potential. So what did the future hold for this brand and its grand plan?
Look, anything's possible with a venue like this and the size and the layout. It's really exciting. All the opportunities. We're looking at doing some trivia, some quiz, exciting beer dinners are in the works. We do have our anniversary that's coming up, so we do big events for that. So the weekend, and again, it is family orientated, so jumping castles, face painting, and of course the spectacular beer that we release, which pretty much sells out on the day. So you've got to get in quick for that one. But lots of new beer releases, and you know the brewers in the back are really brilliant. They're always experimenting with new styles and flavours. And Adam, who's our head chef, he ties it in with the beer, so there's always new changes on the menu, so every time you come in there's a different special for people to try.
With a thumbs up from the locals and barely a free table in sight, it was fair to say the old venue paled in comparison.
I don't know what today's going to bring, but I know one thing for sure. These blokes deserve a break.
And that's enough pressure. And then we're finding out from my uncle who's calling to say, we need to terminate now.
Mate, it is rocking and rolling.
Here we are.
It looks awesome.
It's happening.
Yeah.
Actually not sure what we are brewing. What are we brewing today?
I don't know.
Ooh.
Rainer?
Yes.
I like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Bert's going strong, yeah. His background, he's got a degree in biochemistry.
It's a blank canvas, you know. There's a lot of possibilities. You can create your own beers.
It's the life passion.
Yep.
So it's not like that, you know, started brewing yesterday.